here. We didn't get our bandsaw blades in, and so we're gonna have to just cut this with an angle grinder. Not what I wanted to do, but we're gonna do it. So we do have an idea of where we need to cut it. We got to cut it along this line here, and right there. We don't want to. We want to try and cut as much of the leftover cracks out as possible. It's going to be probably about a 1/2 inch to 5/8 of an inch thick, and see where we're at. All right. So we're going to use this pink pencil. We're going to come out here about a 1/2 inch. We're going to cut on the outside of that line as best we can here, and it's not going to be fun. This is why I wanted the bandsaw blades here, but oh well. That's what we got to do. So that's what we're going to do. Put this in the vise, and it's going to want to slip on us. So we're just going to have to deal with it. Got safety glasses on. Figured if I have a pair of $50 safety glasses, I might as well wear them, right? I'm going to put my gloves on for this just because safety first. Now, when I'm cutting this, so I can see my line, I'm going to first scribe a line starting from the bottom and going up. There's that. It's not sparking because of that scale. Super hard. Now, to help save on your blades here, don't just lay into this thing and just let it sit there. Move it up and down. It helps keep the blade from breaking down on your cutoff blade. And it started to slip right there. All right, we're going to flip it over now. Have a general look of where we want it. We need to get our handy dandy paint pencil back out here, and we're just going to come across here, and we're going to make our lines meet up so that we can then cut this out on the other side. Not the ideal way to do it. If you're not careful, it's a good way to really fuck everything up. But this is just let's get it cut so we're not going to be using this piece for anything. We might, depending. We might actually use it for something, but most likely not. I just want to make sure that we're lined up on that cut. Yeah, that cut's pretty good. Okay, we're doing fine. Cut's really dense. Now we're going to switch our blade out of our cutoff blade, our disc, and we're going to flip this back over here. All right, change out our blade, our cutoff wheel. They throw the freaking nut across the shop. Should be able to slice through this now. Oh yeah. Almost through. Probably ask yourself, well, why didn't you just freaking do this from the beginning? not spend $131 on a bandsaw blade? Well, because the cut isn't super straight when you use one of the angle grinder, and the curve's a little bit bigger, and you're gonna spend more time cleaning it up than you would if you used a bandsaw blade, carbide tip bandsaw blade. There you go. Well, it didn't break apart when it hit the ground. We might be able to use this because I'm looking at this. Those cracks are literally only a 1/16 inch on the sides into the main part. So we'll be able to use this for something. But we're gonna head over to the grinders now and get both of these cleaned up, and then we're gonna etch them, and we're gonna show you what they look like and talk about what we're gonna do next. Well, this turned out pretty dang good. It really did. You know, you have a lot of potential in this piece, and actually this way of doing things. You have a lot of potential in it. It's really quite amazing that you can get something this close to Feather Damascus. It really kickstarts the old freaking experimental juices. Yeah, I mean, I don't know any other way to describe it other than we're going to be pushing forward onto the next can. This won't be the last time you see this. We'll be using this steel to make knives and stuff out of, for sure. But man, it's amazing. It's I love it. It's quick. It's easy. Now, I'm also one of those guys that usually says that anything easy isn't really worth doing. In this instance, absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely, it's worth doing. I don't know. I was not expecting this, right? We're going to be hitting the next one. And we need to get it to where we're not doing any welding like we did on this one after it comes out of the can. That's why this one's not a ultimate success, right? I mean, it's successful. It's usable steel. It looks like a feather, but the proper procedures were not adhered to, right? So the next one, we're gonna change slightly, but only with how much we're adding per layer. And then we're gonna do a vertical press. That is the next can that's gonna be done. Not a lot's gonna change. The height, well, there is, I guess. I shouldn't say that. Let me backtrack here. The last can was 3 inches by 3 inches by 6 inches tall. The next can is going to be 3 inches by 3 inches by like 5.5, 5 inches tall. So we can do a vertical press. Also, that also allows us to do maybe even shorter, maybe 4.5, just because we can do a vertical press cold, vibrate everything in there, and really get a good compression on it. We probably could have got away with everything we did on the first one if we just would have cut off all the freaking the gaps, you know. But I think that we saved more steel by doing a secondary run. Now, the only thing that would make this project and challenge not doable, right, is gonna be if we cannot get a solid bar. And it would be interesting to figure out if that's even doable. We're gonna figure it out, but that would mean me buying actual, 3/16 inch walled 3x3 tube steel, which we may end up doing. I have an inkling on this next one that if we do the vertical press first, hot, the can is going to explode, like balloon out, bulge out on the sides because of how thin the metal is, so fast that the inside material doesn't have a chance to solidify and become fused together. So we need to actually take this and make it to where it's just one step at a time. I keep having to tell myself this: one step at a time, one step at a time, one step at a time. Don't try and do too much, right? Because you don't know what you can get away with. You may not need to do all that crap if you jump right to it. You may need to just change one thing. In this instance, we're going to change two things. We're going to do a vertical press, and we're going to change the thickness of our layers. That's it. That vertical press is going to need to happen after at least 3 welding heat cycles through the squaring dies. Which means we're probably going to have to start with a 4-inch tall can. That's going to give us the most amount of room in there because we're lengthening this thing, right? But after that third cycle, welding cycle, we're going to have a better shot of compressing it without a complete failure. So yeah, I think we're going to have to go with a 3-inch by 3-inch by 4-inch can, almost a square or a cube, almost a cube, to get that vertical press. We're going to have plenty of steel to play with. Remember, we're just trying to get this out of the can fully formed and ready to go. And maybe we don't change the layers. Maybe we just go for the vertical press on this next one. Maybe that's what we do. We change the height of the can, we keep the layers the same, and we go for the vertical press. I mean, that might be the best thing to do. We're going to leave you with this for episode 4, and we'll see you on episode 5. So the experiment continues. Thanks, everybody. Stay safe out there. Be well. And as always, forge on.